Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, and in this video I am going to show you my must-have items for a dip, manicure, and for removal, and this is for any brand. I have to have these items to do a manicure. Okay, so for me, most important, first thing I do is an apron. This way I don't get powder or dust on my clothes or whatnot, so any basic apron. And second is a mask. And any mask is better than no mask. I currently have this one from Vogmask and a black one from Amazon, which is right here. And it has replaceable filters that you can put in, so I love that, and it was cheaper. Vogmask is more expensive. It's like 30 something dollars. It's a nice mask, but I almost like the black one better. But yep, always have a mask so you don't inhale any of that powder or dust, which you do every time you do your nails. Third item is a silicone mat or a placemat. I also sometimes use a paper towel, but I love this one. It's for easy cleanup and prevents my table from getting ruined and all that good stuff. Fourth item is a 240 grit file. This is a very fine file, and I use this one for actually shaping my nails before I do any manicure, just to kind of straighten up the shape and all that. And with files, yeah, 240 grit. It's it's like a pretty smooth file. Still a little gritty, but not really. It's more smooth. Perfect for shaping. And with files, no specific brand, but don't go buy like a 25-cent file. You want good quality. Fifth item is cuticle softener or remover. I really like Sparkle & Co.'s or Blue Cross from Sally's or Amazon. I do use this to prep my nails and to push back my cuticles, and they come off incredibly easy. And this specific one from Sparkle & Co. smells like pink lemonade. It smells really good, and it's just a really good product. And I have to have a cuticle pusher, and I like metal for myself, but typically if I do other people's nails, I would use wood so I can just toss it after with no worrying about contamination or anything like that. But yeah, and then I use the other end just after I push my cuticles back, just to kind of get in there and scrape out any extra gross stuff. But yep, just a metal cuticle pusher. Sorry. The next item that I have to have for every manicure is a standard buffer block. I get mine on Amazon for pretty cheap, and I've been using this exact kind for over 2 years. Never had an issue. But yeah, I just typically barely buff my natural nail, or I skip buffing altogether, but always have a file. Eighth item is pH prep or dehydrator. You only need a very small amount, and I use this before I start my mani, and it removes all oils from my nail, leaving it clean. And I use this on myself and everybody else. Okay, so next product is Base Bond. Obviously, you can't do a mani without Base Bond and clear dip powder. I always do a dip of clear after prep under any manicure, and I do it so I can file off instead of soaking off. Plus, I use clear dip to build my apex. So, yep, required. Have to have clear dip, and I have to have my Base Bond. And next would be an orange stick. I use the pointed end of an orange stick to go around my cuticle after each dip, and this helps remove any excess powder and liquid from the cuticle and gives those great rounded cuticle lines. And you can get these anywhere for really cheap. Like on Amazon, you can get tons of them for cheap, or Sally's, pretty much everywhere. Or you can just use a toothpick if you don't have any. But orange stick is like my number one. And gotta have paper towels. Always use paper towels, and I go through several. Next would be a duster brush, and I use this between dips to remove any extra powder, and it removes everything out from under the cuticles. Like, it works so good. Super smooth finishes. I highly recommend getting one of these. Yet again, incredibly cheap. Probably, I think you can get them at the dollar store, but highly recommend it. The next thing is fluffy eyeshadow brushes. I use one of these to remove the extra powder after I dip, and I typically use 3 of them. One for clear, one for solids, and then I use one for glitters and shimmer powders as well. That way I don't get glitter in my solids or in my clear, all that fun stuff. So any kind of fluffy makeup brush will do. And they also work good for ombreing. But yeah, makeup brushes. One of my all-time favorite products and next on the list is Peel Base from Sparkle & Co. And I never do a mani without this. I do 3 coats of it over my clear dip, and my mani will last up to 3 weeks, but I can easily pop them off anytime with no damage and no soak off. Obviously, dip powder. Can't do a dip powder manicure without dip powder. And if I'm using a mini jar like this, then I would highly recommend using cupcake liners, which is my next item that I use. Anytime I use a mini jar, I take a cupcake liner, I set my jar inside of it, and that way when I dip into the jar, any spill out will fall right into the liner, and when I am done, all I have to do is pour it back in, and I am not wasting any product. So just a tip, cupcake liners. Next must-have item would be Solidify, or some of you know it as Activator. And you need Activator to set your powder and also to activate your top coat. First coat, saturate your nail with top coat. Second coat, just enough to cover the surface of the nail. Next items are going to be 100 grit file, 180 grit file, and then the 240. Mind you, the lowest grit number means the coarser the file. So 100 grit is really, really coarse. That works good for removing product, buffing glitter, and all that. 240 I use for shaping. And then typically the 180 I use around my cuticles. But yeah, I use all 3 different size files. And then glossy top coat, or top coat in general. I typically always use glossy coat. And I love Sparkle's liquids, but any dip top coat to finish your manicure. And then the matte finish would go on top of the glossy coat. And it works amazingly well. Gives you a little something different, but top coat. Next, for manicure, once I'm completely done, I always use this Himalayan scrub from Sparkle & Co. And it smells like the pink sugar perfume. It leaves your hands super soft and moisturized and removes all the product off your hands. It's perfect. Use it after every manicure. And then, most important in my opinion, is the cuticle oil. My 3 favorites are this, I think it's whatever, honey and milk coconut oil. It's cheap on Amazon. You get a shit ton of it. It's awesome. Next product would be Diplomatiq. I like the lemon vanilla oil. It's just a really good cuticle oil. No fragrance oils. It's all natural essential oils. And then Sparkle & Co.'s 2-in-1 oil. Works good for cuticle oil and as like a protector to put on your dip liquid bottles for easy opening. But always a cuticle oil. And with these dropper bottle oils, I always put them in pens and put them in my purse. So, cuticle oil. And now for removal. Okay, so typically I use Peel Base every manicure. So, the only thing I need for removal is the end of a cuticle pusher. And I wedge it between where the dip, like the colored dip, meets the clear dip. Wedge it right there, and I can lift it right off. This works for me every time, so that's all I need for removal. But if I did not use Peel Base, or if I'm doing somebody else's nails, I always wear an apron. Apron's number 1, or paper towels. Always put a mask on. I don't want any dust, or I don't want to inhale all that product, so always wear a mask. And then paper towels. Gotta have several paper towels every single time. Don't do nails without them. And then I use my 100 grit file. This is to file off the shine of my nails. And then I take off my 240 grit file. And then I shape my nails. And I always shape my nails before I soak them off or pop them off. It's just easier to file when you have that extra strength of the product still on your nail. Perfect your shape with the product on and then remove it. Plus, a lot of the time you file off some of your product, so then it's less removal time as well. So I always file and shape before I soak off my nails. And that's what the 240 grit is, what I shape with. And then me personally, if I'm soaking off, I will always use my soaker bowl. And I personally hate wasting plastic bags, and that method sucks, and I get plastic residue all over my hands. The soaker bowl is pretty much the same exact process, and it eliminates having to use the bag. And I've had this bowl for over 2 years, and it's still perfect. So what you would do is I'd fill the bottom half with hot water, and then I would close it up. And then in this top part, I actually stick little well, there's a spot for each finger, which is really nice. So you fill the bottom up with halfway with water and then microwave it for 2 minutes, or just already have the water hot, and then close the top. And then I take a piece of paper towel and I fold it and put it inside of each little finger spot. And what that's going to do is when I soak my nails off, it rubs against the paper towel and it removes product. So it just helps it come off faster. You don't have to do this, but I would do it. Or instead of paper towels, get like the back ends of the sponges, like the scrubbers, and cut those to fit as well. Like some of them, make sure you don't get a super cheap brand because they might dissolve a little. But yeah, takes them off in like 10 minutes. And then you need 100% pure acetone. The ONYX 100% pure is my favorite, and I add a little bit of coconut oil to it so it doesn't dry out my skin. Or my all-time favorite is the Soak Off ONYX. I just call it the blue one, but it already has coconut oil and some grapeseed oil and vitamin E and stuff in there, and it's less harsh on your skin and still removes the product just as quickly. So you would fill this up with acetone, the little finger spots, and I typically soak them for about 5 minutes or so, and then I take a very old buffer block, and then I go over each nail, like pull them out while they're still wet with acetone, and I buff each nail, and it literally pulls layers of the product off your nail while you buff, like if you buff it during this process. And so after I buff them, I put them back in, soak for another like 5 to 7 minutes, and they're completely off. So highly recommend the soaker bowl. And then once I have all the product off, I use my Himalayan scrub. This removes any leftover like top coat residue, any powder that might be stuck on your fingers. Like I take my buffer block and I file my fingers just where product might be left over. And then I go wash my hands with this stuff in hot water, and they're super smooth. And then I do cuticle oil. Always use cuticle oil. And this Cutio one, it's nice because you can tilt the bottle. Like it has a flat edge so you can have it kind of slanted. But this oil, I think I got a 2-pack of it for like $10 on Amazon, and it lasts forever. I've had this bottle for over 2 years. So it lasts forever. Thank you guys for watching. I hope this helps some of you. Please like and subscribe to my channel. Follow me on Instagram and let me know what you want to see. Deuces and smooches.